There were no screams, no alarms. No one saw her leave. Just a car driving away from a crowded Texas music festival, and a silence that would haunt two families for years. In October 2017, 19-year-old Kaye Mandotti, a bright college cheerleader with a smile that lit up every room, vanished after a weekend getaway with her boyfriend, former high school baseball star Mark Howerton. Hours later, she was rushed to a rural hospital in the backseat of a car, unconscious, bruised, and dying. What followed would become one of the most disturbing and complex investigations in Texas college history. A story of love, drugs, jealousy, and the thin line between a night of music and a lifetime of tragedy. This is the story of Kaye Mandotti, and the final hours that no one could explain. Kaye Mandotti was born in 1998 in the San Antonio area. From the very beginning, she was known for her laughter, bright, open, contagious. Friends described her as the kind of person who could make anyone feel seen. At Trinity University, where she studied communications and psychology, she was a dedicated cheerleader, small in frame but fierce in energy. Her friends called her the spark, always smiling, always the one to volunteer, always the one to encourage others to get up, dance, and live. Her mother, Allison Steele, often said Kaye had an old soul. She wanted to help people, and she believed in second chances, sometimes perhaps too much. It was that same compassion that drew her to a young man named Mark Howerton. He was older, handsome, confident, the kind of guy people noticed when he walked into a room. Mark had once been a standout baseball player in high school. He had charm, a way of making people feel like they were the only one in the room. But those who knew him best said there was something else beneath the surface, a volatility that could turn admiration into fear. When Kaye met him in early 2017, she was taken in by his attention. He made her feel special, protected. At first, their relationship seemed typical: nights out, selfies together, shared playlists. But slowly, the dynamics began to change. Friends recalled that she started skipping study sessions, showing up late to cheer practice, and growing distant. And when she did talk about Mark, her tone was conflicted, loving one moment, fearful the next. The last weekend of October 2017 was supposed to be fun. Kaye, Mark, and another couple had planned to attend the Mola Luna Music Festival in San Antonio, a 2-day celebration filled with lights, bass, and energy. The festival drew thousands of people each year. For many students, it was the event of the season, a release from exams and routine. But beneath the excitement, something darker was brewing. According to investigators, on Sunday, October 29, 2017, Kaye and Mark had taken MDMA, commonly known as ecstasy or Molly, a party drug that can heighten euphoria but also trigger panic, paranoia, and dangerous physiological reactions. Friends who attended with them described an uncomfortable tension throughout the day. Mark, they said, appeared controlling. He didn't want Kaye talking to other men. At one point, a witness recalled, the couple argued near a food stand, a disagreement that seemed minor at first but left Kaye visibly shaken. By 4 p.m., the group decided to leave. Mark and Kaye got into his car and drove off together. That was the last time her friends saw her alive. Hours passed with no word from Kaye. Her phone went silent, unusual for someone who texted constantly. When her friends tried calling, there was no response. At 8 p.m., surveillance footage captured Mark's car leaving San Antonio city limits, heading north on Interstate 35. According to investigators, he was driving fast. Too fast. Around 8:30 p.m., a hospital nurse in rural Luling, Texas, about an hour's drive away, saw headlights racing toward the emergency entrance. Car screeched to a stop. Mark Howerton jumped out, shouting for help. Inside the car was Kaye, unresponsive, cold, and covered in bruises. Paramedics rushed her inside. They noted she had multiple bruises on her legs, a broken rib, and severe blunt force trauma to her face and head. When asked what had happened, Mark told medical staff that Kaye had taken ecstasy at the festival and passed out. He said he tried to revive her, panicked, and drove her straight to the nearest hospital. But the staff quickly realized something wasn't adding up. The bruises weren't consistent with a collapse. They looked like impact injuries, the kind caused by force, not a fall. Kaye was airlifted to San Antonio Military Medical Center, where doctors fought to save her. Her brain showed signs of swelling. Her breathing was shallow. Within hours, she was declared brain dead. Her mother, Allison, arrived just before midnight. She remembered her daughter's face, pale, lifeless, and the marks that made no sense. The next morning, October 30th, 2017, Kaye Mandotti was pronounced dead. The investigation began immediately. Detectives from Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office and the Texas Rangers took the lead. At first, Mark Howerton's story seemed plausible. A tragic reaction to drugs, maybe a fall, maybe bad luck. But the evidence began to suggest something else. A paramedic who treated Kaye later testified that her injuries were not consistent with drug collapse. She had bruising on her inner thighs, upper arms, and face, areas that indicated struggle. The autopsy confirmed it: blunt force trauma to the head and face, a fractured rib, and internal bruising. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide, but there were no witnesses to the fatal injuries. No camera footage, just a long drive, 2 people in a car, and a series of unanswered questions. Detectives interviewed Mark that night. He maintained his innocence, saying he had panicked after she lost consciousness and drove to the hospital as fast as he could. He insisted they had argued but that he never hurt her. Still, his behavior in the days leading up to the festival raised red flags. Friends told investigators that Kaye had mentioned breaking up with Mark. She said the relationship was too much, that she felt trapped. One friend recalled Kaye saying, "He's nice when he wants to be, but when he gets angry, I don't recognize him." Detectives pulled Mark's phone records and GPS data. They showed the drive from the festival didn't go directly to the hospital. Instead, there was a 2-hour gap, a deviation north, away from any medical facilities. Investigators began to suspect Kaye might have been unconscious, or worse, long before the car ever arrived at Luling. Meanwhile, forensic experts examined Kaye's injuries. They noticed a small circular bruise near her right ear, and a larger one above her left ear, possibly from pressure or repeated impact. Her fingernails had residue consistent with skin cells, signs she may have tried to defend herself. Toxicology reports confirmed MDMA in her system, but at levels not typically fatal. What happened between 4 o'clock and 8 p.m. remained a mystery. Kaye's mother refused to believe her daughter had died of drugs or misfortune. She began documenting everything: text messages, police reports, hospital charts. "I knew my daughter," she said later. "She didn't just overdose. Someone did this to her." Weeks turned into months as detectives built their case. Finally, in March 2018, Mark Howerton was arrested and charged with murder, kidnapping, and aggravated sexual assault. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. The trial began in February 2019, drawing national attention. The prosecution painted Mark as violent, possessive, and manipulative. They described Kaye as a young woman caught in a toxic cycle she was trying to escape. Prosecutors introduced photos from the autopsy, showing bruises on her face, ribs, and arms. They argued these injuries were evidence of assault, inflicted during the final hours of the drive from San Antonio to Luling. They also presented expert testimony that Kaylee's death could not have been caused by ecstasy alone. Her internal injuries, they said, were consistent with blunt force trauma, not overdose. But the defense fought back hard. They claimed Kaylee's injuries could have resulted from convulsions during an MDMA reaction or from resuscitation attempts. They emphasized the lack of eyewitnesses and direct evidence linking Mark to an assault. As the trial went on, the emotional toll on Kaylee's mother became clear. Each autopsy photo, each testimony reopened the wound. Allison Steele showed the jury the bruises around Kaylee's head, circular marks that experts said might have come from gripping or impact. They played audio of Mark's police interview, where he denied any wrongdoing but contradicted himself several times. Then the defense produced something unexpected, a reenactment video. It showed two actors, similar in size to Mark and Kaylee, demonstrating how her injuries might have happened accidentally inside a moving car. The courtroom watched in silence. It was a powerful moment, one that introduced doubt. After days of deliberation, the jury faced a difficult decision. On February 12, 2019, they returned their verdict. Mark Howiton was not found guilty of murder. He was instead convicted of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury and sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum penalty allowed for that charge. He will be eligible for parole in May 2033. For Kaylee's mother, it was a bittersweet outcome. Justice but not closure. In the years since Kaylee's death, her mother has become an advocate for campus safety and domestic violence awareness. She founded the Kaye Mandotti Foundation, dedicated to educating young women about warning signs of toxic relationships. She often speaks at universities across Texas, telling her daughter's story, not just as a tragedy, but as a lesson. Her message is clear: love should never cost your life. Every October, friends and family gather at Trinity University's Cheer Field to light candles and release balloons in Kaylee's memory. They remember her laughter, her energy, her kindness, and they speak her name, not as a statistic, but as a reminder. Kaye Mandotti was 19. She had dreams, a family who adored her, and a future that should have stretched far beyond one October afternoon. Her story lingers as both a warning and a tribute, to listen when someone says they're scared, to act when something feels wrong, and to cherish those who bring light into the world. Because sometimes the brightest lights fade the fastest. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.